Welcome to Andy Techmar YouTube. Here we go, we're gonna fucking make a video. Today's video, 3 secrets to authentic communication, the last one being the juiciest. Please stick around for the final tip on authentic communication. There's a little twist in today's story that you are definitely not gonna wanna miss. Communication is so important. I am someone who was communicating in an unconscious way, was using body language, facial expression, and mostly passive-aggressive style that didn't really work for me. It led me into a life of hyper-independence. I was a big-time golfer. I enjoyed playing golf by myself, but it left me feeling disconnected, not able to share my ideas, not feeling understood, and a lot of times in social interactions felt as if I was the one giving. I'm giving of my time, attention, listening, and yet when it's my turn to talk, people aren't listening to me. So for today's video about authenticity and authentic expression, we're gonna go through, if you've ever heard of, go through these 3 gates to check if something should be expressed. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Now, the last one is gonna tie to the twist. Make sure that you're expressing in a kind way. And we'll get to that at the end, but we first jump into, is it true? Is what you're gonna say true? Now, this is where a lot of people get communication wrong, is where authentic communication, what you deem as authentic communication, can occur for somebody else as you being jerk and self-righteous and arrogant, and how dare you talk down to me? And where this goes sideways is that you are collapsing your personal truth with what actually happened. So if we haven't communicated a whole lot and we're not really clear on how to talk about what's happening over here, what am I thinking and what am I feeling? I want to just talk about the situation, but in the situation, I may muddy the water a little bit with what you were thinking or what you were feeling, and this doesn't go very well. What springs to mind is a fight I had when I was dating somebody a couple years ago, and I had practiced expressing myself and I wasn't very good at it, so she would pull it out of me. Say something, like, even if you get angry, I'd rather have you yell at me than say nothing. And I thought, oh great, someone gave me permission. Now if someone gives you permission to say whatever you want to say, then you can say whatever you want to say, and the burden is on them. So I let her have it. I started yelling and I was like, well, is it never good enough for you? And it's so frustrating, and And then as soon as I said it, the guilt set in. I felt so bad for saying it, but even though I felt authorized by her. Fast forward 5 days, I was in a similar emotional place. There was something I wanted to say, but I just couldn't say it. And my brain, because of that previous experience 5 days earlier, said, hey, why don't we try what we did the other day? Why don't we yell at her? That seemed to work really well, forgetting that the reason it worked is because she was a willing participant to receive said communication. So I yelled at her and I started saying some things, and she was highly offended. She was like, how dare you yell at me? And then I just said, well, I yelled the other day and it worked pretty well. And she goes, yeah, because I asked you to say something. And today, when you did it, I didn't deserve that. I didn't deserve for you to just vent on me and make me the villain in this story. So when we check in to see what we're saying and if it's true, the caveat here is I always check for myself. What am I feeling? I'm always allowed to express what I feel, and then how you want to say that to somebody is, I feel XYZ when you did XYZ. And it separates the two. You're not name calling them. You're not associating what you think or feel, making it about them or their character. You're just expressing your experience of having been in that situation. So that's the first thing. Number 2 is it necessary? Now, you have the right to express your thoughts and feelings. Now, if you don't do that, which is fine, you don't have to. It may also seem not necessary. But you might be watching this video right now as someone who has not expressed himself over time, and now finding yourself a little bit depressed or feeling small or feeling like the people around you don't care about what you have to say or what's really important to you. You often find yourself in a situation where you're the one doing the understanding. And sure, you're a curious person, you're an empathic person, you're willing to understand and be flexible with what other people are going through, but you're also a human and you want to be heard. You want to be understood for what's important to you. So, is it necessary is always relevant relative to what you think and feel. Now, the example that I use for is it necessary, I was failing on the job. I wasn't speaking up in a situation and not communicating effectively. In my very first season of caddying, I was in a major championship. We were 2 shots off the lead with 7 holes to play. And we were in a situation where my player didn't like the idea of hitting 6-iron. I thought 5-iron was too much. And so I tried to relay this idea of like, okay, well, you can hit the 5-iron, but just, you got to hit it easy. So I said what I said. I assumed that was great. And I gave the necessary communication. Now, I left that feeling fine. As soon as she started to swing the club, that's when I was like, I don't think we did a good job of communicating. As soon as she hits the shot, it flies off the club face too fast. I can tell right away. And I'm hoping I'm wrong. But sure enough, I'm not. The ball flies over the green. She looks at me. Where did that go? And I'm thinking, oh no, this is not good. So I just lock up, right? This reinforces this. Don't say anything. If you can't say the right thing, just don't say anything at all. Except relative to is it necessary, this was my job. This is what I was being paid to do. So I had to do something. And yet in this situation, I should have just doubled down on it was the 6-iron. You didn't think it was a 6-iron, but the wind was behind you, just hit 6. It would have been plenty of club because 5 was way too much. So we get up to the green, she ends up making double bogey, and then she had no problem expressing to me, I'm so mad at me, and I'm so mad at you. And again, I just shut down. I didn't speak for the next 6 holes, and I ended up getting fired that day, which is a whole nother story, the depth of that and what I learned from that. But it also taught me about later on looking back and decompressing that whole thing and saying, how do I learn how to say what's necessary? And in this situation, a work situation, what I was thinking and feeling mattered a little bit, but it was more about making the proper decision. So this is more potentially a context of at work, or if you're having a conversation in a relationship where you both want to express what you think and feel about the situation, but you also got to talk about the necessary points. Is it necessary to say this? Now, this also only comes up because it's necessary. If you're thinking about saying something or you're having the thought of, I should say something, that right there tells you it's necessary. Whether it's because it's necessary for the situation you find yourself in to have it go a different way or a better way than you're thinking it might go if you don't say something. And you always have the right for your own personal self-expression. Because I imagine if you're watching this video, you're the type of person who tends to be a little more introverted, a little less externally self-expressed, and your voice matters. So that is always necessary, what you think and what you feel. And my guess is that the people that are close to you that really know you enjoy your authentic expression. So get out there and say it. It's definitely necessary. Now, number 3, is it kind? This is my secret weapon of authentic expression. It's not just being yourself. A lot of times we think, and a quote from one of my favorite movies, I Heart Huckabees, he says, how am I not myself? How am I not myself? And then the 2 existential detectives start literally pondering that. Yeah, how am I not myself? How am I not myself when you are hiding something? And this really boils down to, before we get to the secret tip as to how you can hack this, is you're hiding, you're suppressing something. We learn at a very young age that we do not want to be liars, right? Most people you talk to are not going to tell you that they are a liar, even though they have lied in life. Most likely we all have. But as adults, we get very clever and we get very good at just talking around something, leaving someone with an expectation, but I didn't explicitly say it, so you expected it. What am I supposed to do? And yet you have that nagging sense of like you're holding something back that is going to bite you in the ass at some point. And you don't need me to tell you this. You're already dealing with your own conscious, your own sense of guilt, your own sense of feeling like a small person because you're not giving your full truth. And tying back to the kindness, communication is hard. Life is dynamic. There's lots of things happening. You can have a situation at home where it's lots of things are going on and you don't know what to say. Back to that first story that I told, I didn't know what to say. As I got older and as I continued to caddy, I've been better at and actually have used that sense of fear, right? Whenever I'm in a situation where I feel scared, I use that fear to have me lean into, this is what we got to talk about. I'm not going to avoid this because that's just going to set a ticking time bomb for later. And I've done that enough times to know it never goes well. If I confront the person and it's a bad situation, it's going to be the least bad right now if I nip it right in the bud. So I do that. And that oftentimes takes being kind to yourself, saying, hey, you matter. What you have to say matters. Even if this other person doesn't like it initially, if it's offensive to them, if it upsets them, and you can say that right away. If you have a fear about how they're going to respond, then just put that on the table. You can de-escalate that whole situation by saying, hey, I'm afraid that I might say something stupid and I might hurt your feelings. But my intention is not to do that. My intention is that I'm trying to be transparent. I'm trying to tell you what I'm thinking and feeling. I'm afraid I might mess it up. I'm going to do my best. Can you be forgiving of me even before I start talking? That way, if I mess it up, I can say it again. Because the beautiful thing about communication is we can say it again. Whatever we say, we can have another shot right away. So what's the secret weapon? If you're in situations where you're quote unquote being authentic, but it's not working for you, my guess, if people aren't listening to you and it's like, oh, they're not getting me, they don't understand, most likely you are not telling the full truth. You're hiding something. What you're most likely hiding is something bad. It's going to be self-incriminating, because my little tagline for this secret weapon is you be authentic about where you've been inauthentic. So you tell one on yourself. Now, for people that the relationship is going fine, you don't have to do this. This is more pertinent in situations where you care about somebody, but either you don't want to call them or they're not calling you, and there's something in the relationship that's just not quite gelling fully. And if you don't know, you can also start from a place of curiosity and you can actually ask them. Now, it's a good thing to brace yourself. Anytime you're going to deal with authentic communication, if you're going to fully express yourself, there is a good chance that it is going to be polarizing. That as much as you may be well-intentioned, that those good intentions may rub somebody the wrong way and they could push back and project onto you. But if you know your heart and you know your intent and you know what you're saying, you're okay with I'm the bad guy, or I'm okay with showing up as the villain, because I know full well that there's a greater intention to what I'm saying here. And it includes the care I have for this person I'm talking to. It includes caring for myself and my own self-expression. So this reminds me of another relationship. There was someone I dated about 13 years ago. And early in the relationship, I had said some things. I'd made some promises. I was caddying at the time. And when we first met, I had met her in her hometown. I wasn't living there, traveling a lot as a caddy. And actually, right when we met, she said, I have a rule that I don't date people that are traveling in and out. I want somebody that lives here full time. So we knew right there that we were starting this relationship on shaky ground. But I jumped in. She was willing to jump in. I said, I'm caddying now, but I really want to get away from it, which is true. But it's so easy to promise something or to desire something without understanding the full scope, right? So 12 months goes by. It's getting towards the end of this year that I had said that by this end of this year, I'm going to quit caddying. And slowly she's putting pressure on me, but because of what I said. And then it got to a point where it's like, this isn't working for me. Caddying's going great. I don't want to stay here. I want to keep caddying, right? That was my authentic expression. And it required the end of the relationship. And she was upset, rightly so. Now, initially, I was upset because it's like, well, wait a second. I moved here for you. I did these things for you. How come you're upset? I have equal right to be upset, even though I am not fulfilling on what I said. Now, I took some time away, did some self-discovery, actually was listening to a book about dealing with honest communication. And I came back and I realized I gotta just I gotta listen to her and listen to what she says. And in doing so, if I can sit there and be with that I'm a bad guy and just own that fully, then at least we can communicate. Because I was like, this relationship is gonna end, but there's no reason we need to hate each other. I can at least honor what I said and that I'm not gonna fulfill that. And that's upsetting. I've been upset by people in that way, so I can at least be an adult and honor that with her. And so I sat down and at first was like, hey, we need to talk about this. And she's like, no, I'm fine. And I'm like, you're not fine. And you can tell me. And she's like, I don't want to tell you. And then I sat there and I listened. This goes back to it. If something's not going well in your communication and the authenticity hasn't been there, most likely you haven't been fully authentic. So asking some questions and asking them to give you some feedback about some deep things that you haven't been talking about can be very helpful. And all of a sudden she started expressing what there was to say. And I just accepted it. It was true. Everything she had to say, her perspective was valid. And as I listened to it, what was interesting, because for months I was so afraid. I didn't want to be the bad guy and I didn't want to hear what she had to say. And yet, once she started saying what was true for her, and I was accepting it, then right after, she accepted culpability. And so we were at least able to be friends. So authentic communication is an interesting thing, because the reality is anything we say, it's our subjective truth, but it may or may not be true out in the world. So what I've been learning how to do is, how do I get better at owning my voice and believing in myself and believing that what I think and what I say is of value, which is a big reason why I make these videos. I'm out here saying what I have to say, hoping it makes a difference with somebody, dealing with my own negative thoughts about it. And it's totally worth it. Whatever fear you have, and maybe you're in a place where you're dealing with the burdens of life, you're feeling disconnected, you're feeling like you're not understood, and that sucks. I've been there. That might just be the place you need to be at to finally be like, you know what, I got nothing to lose. Now, a good way of practicing this is going out and meeting people you've never met before, because maybe they want you to be a version of yourself that is completely new for you, versus your friends and family might expect you to be a particular way. So if you change it up, these other 3 rules of is it true, is it necessary, is it kind, will serve you a long way. And a lot of times, if you want to grow and change, and if you want to shift into a new version of yourself, your friends and family will accommodate that, but they're going to need some time, just like a breakup, to grieve through this. Well, I expected you to be this. You've been this for so long, and now you're just going to be something else. And if you can really deal with all those concerns, they're going to support you in the new version, because the new version transcends and includes the old version. It's just going to be better. I'm going to be better than I was before. Then you'll see how much people will support your authentic communication. Thanks so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please like it, please subscribe. Right now, this channel is new and I'm just practicing getting out there, but I hope to have a video up very soon. Thank you so much.